Hello, everyone. Welcome to Macro Monday, where we review the relevant macro news of the week. Now, we had Jerome Powell talking, of course, on Friday at the Jackson Hole and kind of repeating his usual stance, right? Kind of a hawkish speech, you might say, kind of saying that inflation not necessarily under control, financial conditions perhaps not loose enough, or rather not tight enough, and that perhaps we are in need of yet another rate hike. Now, you might think that because the market rallied on Friday that, the market just said, we don't believe you, Jerome, you've been at this for a while. But in fact, if we look, for example, at the CME group forecast for rate hikes, we can see that right now we have about 22.5% probability of a rate hike in September. And what's even more telling is that we have close to a 50% probability of a rate hike in November, right? So also 50% that by November we'll have a Fed funds rate about 550 to 575. Okay, so this is quite interesting, and it tells us a couple of things. One is that markets are believing what Jerome is saying right now, and also that perhaps they're already pricing in some high inflation. And this is actually quite clear if we look here at the CPI swaps, right? We can see that here in green we can see the latest forecast, right, for the CPI. This is as of the 24th of August. And then in orange, we can see the forecast is at the 11th, right? So we can see that, already in the last few weeks, markets have begun to price even higher inflation. And, this kind of makes sense if we actually look at financial conditions, right? Because financial conditions, as Jerome has said, haven't really loosened up enough. And there's a very strict correlation, right? We can see, for example, here, in blue, the Chicago Fed National Financial Conditions Index, right? So when this is going up, financial conditions are getting tighter. And when it's going down, they're getting looser, easier, right? And then we have, of course, the CPI. No need to explain that. So as we can see, right, when financial conditions, begin to decrease, we actually see a jump in CPI, in inflation, right? Kind of the same here. Right, we can see that happening here and here. And basically what the chart is saying is that we're now facing a similar situation, right? Financial conditions have actually eased, and they have eased noticeably since about March, May, when we had that SVB crisis. So you'd expect actually inflation to make somewhat of a comeback, or, as I've quoted before, sticky disinflation. Now, with that said, let's look at the upcoming data for this week, right? Because we have some interesting data coming in, right? We have JOLTS on Tuesday, I believe, right? Job openings, and pretty much the expectations are that job openings are going to continue to decrease, right, as they have for the past few months. So the idea being that the employment market is beginning to weaken. Now, with that said, unemployment is scheduled, numbers are scheduled to come out on Friday, and it's expected to stay roughly the same at about 3.5%. But this is going to be an important narrative, of course, because, the Federal Reserve does seem kind of hell-bent on, raising inflation and, raising unemployment, right? And if employment comes in strong, then, of course, the odds of a rate hike, increase. And, we're in one of those bad news is good news is bad news situations, right? And with that said, we also have the data coming in for the core PC, and the key here is going to be the month on month, I think, right? That's going to show the more current trend, and we can see here the trend so far, right, over the last year. We can see that it's been, decreasing. Notably, it's become a bit sticky in the last few months, and then came down to about 0.2 in June, and this is where it's expected to come at in July, right? But again, it'd be very interesting if we saw this come in at 0.3, or higher. Of course, markets would probably throw a bit of a tantrum there. So definitely very interesting to see that. So I hope you enjoyed today's update. And remember, if you want some more in-depth research, you can follow me on Substack or Seeking Alpha. I have a weekly newsletter, and I also do in-depth videos every weekend. And in fact, as a special treat, and for listening to me, I'm going to link right here the weekend video that I did. So I record this on Sunday. That's about 30 minutes long, covering all of this and a bit extra. So go ahead, check it out. And, I'll see you in the next one.